Hey everyone out there in the first world wasteland, which we are all actively experiencing together. It's Dad here, and let's just go ahead and have another rant. These rants that I like to call full of shit, because I'm full of shit, you're full of shit, but this is Phil's shit. Today we're going to be talking about this idea that we are going cashless. This has been going around a lot lately. This is a new fear, and with most of the fears lately, it's being blown completely out of proportion in terms of why it's happening, what it means, and what's going to happen in the future concerning it. So let's just kind of break down what's going on. First off, a lot of stores are not accepting cash anymore, and the main reason for that is cash is gross. Cash is filthy. Cash has been in your hands, in your pockets, and before it was in your hands and your pockets, it was in other people's hands and pockets, and I don't think anybody's actually taken the time to sanitize it. We just kind of take a bill, hand it to another person, who puts it in their drawer, and later on they're going to hand it to another person, who then is going to hand it to another person, another person, another person. It's almost like there's a lot of dirty hands handling this stuff, and you can't really tell who's had it by the time it lands in your hand. It's just a simple, temporary solution to keep things as sanitary as possible in a time when sanitation is very, very important. And before anybody wants to bring up the whole coin shortage, there's a lot of people sick that can't go to work. So the mint isn't able to make as many coins. This has been public information for a long time. But it goes deeper than that. These people are actually using this very simple problem with a very simple answer to dig deeper and to dive further. They're saying that once we go cashless, which we're not, but once we do, you're not going to be able to give money to your friends. You're not going to be able to have odd jobs and receive money for that. You're not going to be able to do anything but make sanctioned purchases from the government. Have you never heard of PayPal? Cash App? Huh? Hell, even Facebook Messenger right now. You can just send money through that to anyone you want in any amount. There's already things and alternatives that exist to cash as we speak that have been around for a long time. So why are you buying into this essay that everybody's copying and pasting? Why? Can you not just stop, read, go, oh, this is full of shit, and move on? No, and it's not just you, because a senator from Mississippi has chimed in. I can't even remember his name, but I'll go ahead and put it here after I edit this whole thing. And he is so super duper smart, and I mean he is super duper 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 smart. He actually managed to read the bottom left corner of the $20 bill, where it states, this money is in fact money. That's all this means. That's all that means. It does not mean or even imply that a vendor or a store or a business is obligated to accept that with no questions asked. It just means it can be used for that. eBay doesn't accept cash. I have a comic book store that's also a tattoo parlor that I used to get all my shit from before COVID, and they never accepted cash. There was so much cash going through that tattoo parlor, since tattoos are expensive, they got robbed. And after they got robbed, they said, fuck this, and then they only accepted debit cards. It was not illegal. Somebody actually tried to tell me that, well, that's an illegal policy. Fuck you so much, you selfish, self-centered Americunt. All it fucking means is that businesses still have the right to refuse service to anyone. This has kind of been a thing for a while. And that same senator decided to go so far as to say, if I make a $44 purchase at a gas station and I try to pay with $100 and the store clerk doesn't accept it, I consider the transaction complete and I drive away. Guess what, dumbass? I worked at a gas station. If you tried that shit, I'd call the cops, because your ass just broke the law. Montana. Once again, the business has every right to refuse service to a customer. Why is this such a hard concept for people? You want to know why it's a hard concept for people? Because Americans are spoiled and they're self-centered, and anything that inconveniences them personally suddenly turns into tyranny. There are so many conspiracy theories flying around right now that it'll make your head spin. They were always kind of prevalent on the internet, but these days with so many people personally inconvenienced, they're flourishing, they're thriving, they're proliferating at such speed that it makes my head spin. It's hard to keep up with this. Right now, people are flat out saying that wearing a mask is just step one on a slippery slope to getting a chip implanted into you so the government can track you. They just want to make sure that you're going to go ahead and comply. And to test your compliance, they're asking you to put a piece of cloth over your mouth and nose during a worldwide pandemic. This is just to see if the government can control us. Hey, dipshit! Stop signs exist. Stop signs exist literally to control your movement and what you do in your car. Is that not a slippery slope? Where's the microchip theory coming from stop signs? Oh wait, there is none. That's because some laws and some ordinances we have to enact for the greater good of public safety. This whole idea that everybody should just be allowed to make up their own mind and their own decisions on their own, fucking tell you what, if you actually want that, then you don't understand the human race all too well. I'll give you a perfect example. Go to any fucking public rest stop off any highway in America. Go ahead. Go ahead. Oh wait, that's right. Most of us don't want to because we know exactly what we're gonna fucking find in there. People can't even figure out how to use the bathroom and leave it in a condition that the next person can use it without vomiting. But okay, they should be able to make any decision they want without any sort of regulation because we're all super good at that, aren't we? But let's just get down to brass tacks. Let's go ahead and kill the idea that they are trying to microchip us and that they are trying to subvert us into complete compliance so that they can watch every move that we're making, every purchase we're making, every thought we have, and every idea that comes into our heads. You want to know how that isn't true? Do you want to know a very simple answer on how this is all just bullshit? You got one of these in your pocket. You got one of these in your pocket. Look, it's even got a camera. It's got two cameras that you don't even know if it's on or off at the same time. You don't know. And you want to know how else I know this isn't some big conspiracy? Because in this thing that you have in your pocket, you have an app called Facebook that you have put all your personal information into. Some of you have even shown pictures of your ID in, and you put all your little thoughts into that app and spew it out for the rest of the world. They don't need to microchip you to know what you're up to. You're already telling them. Every single thing that you are afraid of that hypothetical microchip doing already exists right here. You willingly did it. And when it comes to mind control and thought control, we already have that through our media, through different Facebook groups and memes, and just overall influence on the internet. All these things already exist, and you want to know how I know that it's working? There's unmarked law enforcement officers in Portland right now arresting people without warrants, without breaking the law, throwing them into unmarked vans while wearing unmarked uniforms, and driving off. And you know what? They have zero accountability. It's already happening. They don't need to go cashless. That's just practical. They don't need to teach you compliance by wearing a mask in order to microchip you to follow your movements and understand what's going on in your brain and control you more. Because you got this in your pocket. It's already happened. It's already happening. And you don't care. And the main reason why most people latch on to conspiracy theories, it's ego. It's straight up ego. People get off on the idea that they know something that somebody else doesn't. And they also get off on the idea that somehow in the midst of all this chaos, there's people actually in control of the world. I firmly believe that there's probably a bunch of elitist rich fucks that are running things in society, but not in the world. The world is rudderless. It's rudderless. If people actually had control, or as much control as people think, trust me, we all would have fallen in line a long time ago. That's not how it works. believe it or not, there's just a few different things that could happen, a few different catastrophes to bring the whole shithouse down without a second thought. But you see, the conspiracy theorist enthusiast, the conspiracy enthusiast, conspiracy theory enthusiast. There we go. Dad's got it. The conspiracy theory enthusiast is the person so egotistical that they think they understand reality better than anyone around them, better than our most educated, better than people that have actually experienced it with their own eyes. They honestly can look around with zero information, just their own cognitive bias, and say, well, this is how the entire world actually works. And if you don't agree with me, you're a sheep. You're a sheep. You're a sheep. Fucking sheep. Fucking sheep. Copied and pasted. But that's where we are right now. We are living in a time of fear, in a time of great change, and a lot of things have changed extremely quickly. And one way that we cope with this is to try and get a better understanding as to why this is happening around us. And being as we have lived a pretty easy life in our generation, it's really hard to fathom that we are so powerless in the face of an invisible threat like a virus. It's just so hard to conceive that something like that could wreak this much havoc. And so, as a defense mechanism, we try and paint a different picture in order to cope. Because it really is a lot more comforting to think that instead of this very deadly, very contagious virus going around that could possibly kill us, it's just a lot more comforting to think, well, it's just a scare tactic by people that are in charge. Because as long as it's just a scare tactic by people that are in charge, myself, you, your friends and loved ones, they're not in danger of dying from a very terrible disease. And it's a very horrible death. So, in a weird way, these gloom and doom conspiracy theories, they're more comforting to some people than the actual reality. And trust me, I wish sometimes that that was our reality. But it isn't. The reality is right now that we have a lot of work to do and that we have an invisible enemy all over the globe. And the only way we're going to get through it is if we do the work and we stop letting our egos get in the way. It is so much more comforting. It's more comforting and it strokes our ego a lot more to assume that somebody is in charge controlling this. Because if we have to deal with the actual reality of the situation, we don't get to be self-centered anymore. We don't get to let our egos run the show. We have to humble ourselves to make the world a better place.